A very warm welcome. Good afternoon to the day two of India Global Education and Skill Summit, hosted by the Government of Telangana Collegiate Education and Technical Education Department and organized by Indie Global Media Network. Engaging powerful minds and empowering transformation is the idea behind this 3-day mega virtual summit, where over 100 education leaders from across the country have joined us, including the policymakers from the space of skill education, both higher and school. At the same time, we are joined by several leaders who are directors, vice chancellors, and dean from across various educational institutions. Just to take you, yesterday we had a wonderful opening, day one opening session, and also on today we had an amazing inaugural session with participation from the Secretary of Ministry of Skill Development on Entrepreneurship, Government of India, Shri Rajesh Agarwalji, and also by the Chairman, All India Council for Technical Education, Professor Anil Sahasrabudheji, and of course the program chair of this summit, Mr. Naveen Mittal, Commissioner, Collegiate Education and Technical Education Department, Government of Telangana, Mr. P. Narahari, who is the Secretary and Commissioner, a senior bureaucrat with the state of Madhya Pradesh. He is the Secretary and Commissioner for both MSME and also industries. And now we are joined by our esteemed panelists and speakers from various parts of the country. And just to give an idea to our panelists, I welcome you all, the audience in our virtual summit have joined from across the country and also across the globe. They are basically from the education and skill ecosystem and also the technology sector, especially the education sector and the skill providing solution providers from across the country. More than 1,500 have registered. And with this, I would like to call upon our esteemed speaker. First, I would like to call upon Professor uh, R.V. Raja Kumar, Director, IIT-Bhubaneswar, Odisha. Thank you very much. A well-known and reputed academician with rich experience who has dedicated decades, more than 25 years, I'm sure it's 30 years, spending several national institutions and currently heading our Indian Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us. We are also joined by the Dean Research with the IIT Roorkee, Sri Professor Apurva Kumar Sharma. Thank you very much for joining us, sir. We are
Thank
also
you.
joined by a very senior academician, dedicated his life after a corporate life, now leading a wonderful educational institution which is imparting quality education and doing wonders. Join me in welcoming Dr. D. N. Rao, President, Vignana Jyothi Group of Institution. Thank you very much, sir. It's an honor to have you. We are also joined by yet another leader from the education space in India, Professor Dr. Abhay Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Pratap University. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us all the way from Jaipur, Rajasthan. We are also joined by Professor Dr. Raman Kumar Jha, Vice Chancellor, Amity University, yet another educator, academician from the space of education, uh, Dr. Raman Kumar Jha. Thank you very much, sir, for joining. Yeah. And to do the honors for this very important session, academia's role in making Atmanirbhar Bharat, that is self-reliant nation, the mission of India, and Skill India, touching upon acceleration of entrepreneur skills, employability, skill enhancement by the education system, and shaping future ready workforce. And to do the honors, we have a person who has a rich experience in the industry, and now he's heading a very reputed institution of the state of Telangana, government of Telangana, that is Telangana Academy of Skill and Knowledge, which bridges the gap between academia and industry according to the needs. And we'll get to hear from him before start the panel discussion. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Shrikant Sinha, Chief Executive Officer, Telangana Academy of Skill and Knowledge. Thank you very much, sir, for joining us.
Thank you.
With this, I would request you to please give us some insights and the best initiatives of TASK, Telangana Academy of Skill and Knowledge, and following which to moderate the session. Over to you, sir.
Sure. Thank you, Sudhir, and it's indeed to be an honor and a privilege to be orchestrating this panel discussion with such eminent, panelists over here. But before I move actually into the panel, let me talk about what is TASK. Some of you would be knowing TASK, of course. Dr. Rao, etc., would be aware about TASK. But let me take 30 seconds to give you a helicopter view of what TASK does. TASK essentially has been set up in 2014, ensuring that how students in the state can become employable. And that was the basic job that was given to TASK in 2014 that we have created. We are standing on three pillars, as some of you can see the logo behind. The first one is education. No, we don't run education institutions, but we look at what are the gaps in our academic curriculum and how can we, provide skill programs. See, today it's a known fact that people don't hire people just because they know the definition of a screwdriver, but actually how to use one. And that's exactly the gap that TASK fills in, where we help with skilling people so that they can become employable. So we do industry roundtables, we look at the industry itself, and we look at where the gaps exist and how we can fill them. Now, of course, along with that, we also ensure that our students are prepared for it. So we work with about 40 plus institutional partners, bringing like Salesforce, Oracle, Cisco, etc. All these people, we work with them very, very closely to ensure that we get the best and the latest emerging technologies, emerging needs that are required by the industry. We skill our students so that they can become employable over there. We also help students develop their own personalities. So we don't call it as soft skills, as most of us end up calling, but we call them as essential skills. Because these skills have become very, very relevant and essential actually in the 21st century. So all the 21st century transferable skills, team building, design thinking, also covering higher order thinking skills, which are called as HOTS or growth mindset, etc. Also we cover for our students so that they can not only be employable to start with, but also have good careers moving ahead. And the third thing, of course, which we play a key part, which is, of course, looking at it, is how do you create an entrepreneurial mindset? As you know, Telangana is amongst the top three entrepreneurship ecosystem across India itself, and soon to be in the world itself and globally. But having said that, there are T hubs and V hubs, etc., which look at people and how they can be incubated so that they can become unicorns or unicorns, etc. But our focus is slightly different, where we look at how people can actually, youth can actually be helped so that they can become solopreneurs, micropreneurs, and look at social and rural innovation. And for that, we ran a program called I4TS, Innovating for Telangana, with the punchline, which is Samajika Avishkarnalu Sarlamaina Jivitanki, which is nothing but social innovation for simplifying lives. And there are multiple examples that exist today where we look at, whenever we talk about entrepreneurship, most of the things people look at is some technology solution, providing something, and typically the technology solution is something which is urban related, and that's where we wanted to break that mold, and that's why task took on itself the mandate of creating rural and social entrepreneurs. So if you look at today's topic, which is academicians roles in making Atmanirbhar Bharat and skill, I think it could not have been a better example than task, because we work with the academic institutions. Vignana Jyothi is one of our registered institutions. They work with us. We work with the corporates. We work with the government. And that's what we embody. We embody the entire ecosystem of all the three partners together and ensure that our students, our youth are able to benefit from this kind of a system. Uh, of course, there are challenges. There are models that we need to create. The need is huge. Today, if you look at our students, their parents have 60%, probably about 50% plus for sure. And I'm talking about Telangana, and I'm sure similar kind of statistics would be across India also. Our students, 50% plus of our students, their parents have never been to a college or a university. So how do you counsel them? How do you help them understand as to, what are the right careers for them? Or is it going to be another bhedchal that everyone is doing it due to peer pressure, everyone moves in that direction itself? I think these are some of the questions which have become very relevant today. And I'm extremely happy that I had got a very good panel to put these questions to. And we have two people from leading government institutions or government funded institutions, IITs, extremely well reputed institution. And then we have two vice chancellors from the private universities. And to bridge the gap and make it equal, we have an institution which is, exemplary as far as their delivery, their services, their whole philosophy is concerned, which is Vignana Jyothi. So it's a very interesting panel. And before I, let me start without any further ado. So, gentlemen, welcome to this panel. And as I said, thanks to the organizers, it's indeed a pleasure to be orchestrating this panel today. So let me start by, asking Professor Raja, Director IIT-Bhubaneswar, and probably the first question would be, if you could introduce yourself, your institution, and also help us understand your view when we say that academicians are playing a role in creating an Atmanirbhar Bharat. What would it be for you? Over to you, Professor Kumar. Sir, you need to unmute yourself.
Yeah, thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about whether the academia are prepared for creating Atmanirbhar Bharat and inspiring, of course, the students. Well, the desire to create Atmanirbhar Bharat has been there all along, and academic institutions are certainly are expected to play a strong role, and the institutions do in their own way. You must have seen that the different types of institutions have contributed significantly in the past as well in the creation of Atmanirbhar Bharat and also to create wealth in the nation. Of late, our Honorable Prime Minister Sri Narendra Modi ji has given this call to inspire every Indian. The first point I put to myself is what is my contribution to creating Atmanirbhar Bharat? So this question is appropriate for everybody, whether you are an institutional builder in a government institution or a private institution or an industry or a common citizen. This is a big question to be answered. Certainly, for the institutional creators, one has to create the cream of global class institutions to the extent possible and to the extent an opportunity is available. And certainly, the idea is not to create a mediocre institution. So, out of the given the resources, one has to create the best institution possible. How do you say an institution is the best institution? First of all, uh, it is the institutional culture. So when you talk about the BTech program and the BTech class or a laboratory, what does it mean to the institute, to the teacher, and to the student defines actually the culture. How seriously these are taken, the parts of the academics are taken, and how well we impart the knowledge to the student and the associated critical thinking that can be trained decides really the your contribution, one's own contribution. Similarly, as a teacher has a big role to play. First of all, a teacher should be an empowered individual. In a particular subject or in a particular assignment the teacher has taken. A teacher has to also play a role model. And in that sense, a teacher has a very big scope for contributing to the Atmanirbhar Bharat. Then finally, the student. A student also should be a participant. If a student is an unwilling participant, and doesn't find relevance between one's own desires and the education, then it would become very difficult for the education system to contribute. Therefore, every individual has a role to play in the creation of Atmanirbhar Bharat. First of all, it is one has to be inspired, whether it is an institutional head, the institutional owner, or a faculty member or a student. Therefore, that's where actually Honorable Prime Minister tries to inspire through his speeches and through his Man Ki Baat as well. So that is absolutely essential. If you ask me about my story of how I'm creating IIT Bhubaneswar and in the component therein towards Atmanirbhar Bharat, I have a long story to speak about, but let me not go through all of that. But I would like to say that we are creating a global class institution, which means that the teaching learning that happens and the research that happens in this institute and the atmosphere we create, the ambience we create, including in the campus infrastructure and the greenery, it has to be nothing short of global class, and that's what we are engaged in at the moment at IIT Bhubaneswar. I'll just quote one example of suddenly we faced the pandemic, and every institution has had faced the challenge of offering the education at uncompromised standards during the pandemic. That's where our institution has been engaged in for the last 1.5 years. We shifted from education with physical presence to online education with the zero gap. On March 17, we had the last set of lectures in person on March 18, 2020. So we had the first set of online lectures. Similarly, so you have many of the institutions had to change their academic regulations, some of the associated regulations. But we felt that we can innovate, come out with even a performance evaluation mechanism where pen and paper examinations can be conducted over the internet with invigilation, and you can have comprehensive examinations done and graduate your students with full honors without resorting to any kind of changes in the regulations, etc. Similarly, we have organized possibly the best possible across the globe convocation last year and this year too, wherein students actually participated. It's a real participation of a student. It's not a production for YouTube. It's not a movie production to be played to the viewers. It is for the participants, that is the degree holders to or degree recipients to receive a degree. That's what we did. So it
Sure.
is different from whether animation or virtual reality, but we went in for actual reality.
Right, right.
So we had many such other initiatives too, but then I prefer to pick up
Sure.
these two examples.
We'll come back to you, Professor Raja. Thank you very much, Professor Rajakumar from IIT-Bhubaneswar. Let me move on to you, Professor Sharma from IIT Roorkee. In case you could share, your vision on Atmanirbhar Bharat and what's the role that IIT Roorkee, which is a new IIT, playing in it.
Yeah. Thank you, Sinha ji. Namaskar to all. Myself, Kumar Sharma. So basically, I am a manufacturing man. I'm trained in mechanical engineering, and the institute I am representing today is 174-year-old young institute. This is, next year we are going to celebrate 175 years of its establishment. And it is the oldest institute, as you know, technical institute in Asia. And we are known by some trendsetters in many fields, particularly in, if I am to mention probably very briefly, is civil engineering. Roorkee was known for a place for civil engineering. Okay. And it is not only that. So even today, we are continuing with that. And specifically, as we are discussing today here, this elite panel is discussing about this skilling and Atmanirbhar Bharat. In that direction also, our institute is not lagging behind. So let me recall one of the things how our institute is taking a leading role in the year 2013, like a curriculum revision for undergraduate courses. So we came up with one one point agenda that there must be one design course to be taught by every department, be it chemical engineering. It is not like it is mechanical engineering only will have to teach design, or civil engineering will have to teach design. No, even other like non-engineering departments also, they were also teaching some courses in some customized form or design course. And just I'm very happy to remind you that in the year 2014, we started in 2013. 2014 onwards, Government of India came up with that mission on NEDI, National Mission on Innovation and Design. So that's the way we are not lagging behind, rather we are trying to lead on several fronts as far as the technology is concerned, as far as the leading policies are, or policy making or implementing those policies are concerned. Even today, just I'm very happy to share with you all that that national education policy has been announced in the year 2022. No, sorry, 2020. And we have already taken kind of proactive steps aligned our to align our curriculum with many of the provisions of these. And this NEP 2020 talks about skilling India, developing our force more job oriented, more entrepreneur oriented, and how to go to the society, and how to go to the industry and serve the nation, serving the society, serving an industry is service to the nation. So this talks about, and we are in the process of reformulating our curriculum. Just now we are taking it up, and that departments are excited to contribute in that, and we have made a broad framework in which we have put these type of themes as a kind of pillars of this new curriculum, like skill. We are going to create one skill basket. So there will be baskets on skills, different departments, which their expertise they will contribute to those baskets, and there will be the students who will be taking that basket as per his or her interest will have a special kind of skill acquired in that, and probably we will be giving them a kind of recognition for that. So this is one of the kind of unique provision we are going to create, and the departments are very excited about taking this as an opportunity. Then the other things uh, probably I'm talking about these type of skill development can be created in terms of a group of institutes also. I mentioned, I started with my own institute, IIT Roorkee, or the erstwhile University of Roorkee was known for civil engineering. Now, means similarly for that matter, IIT Madras, which is my alma mater as well, was known for its mechanical engineering, right? IIT Kanpur was known for one discipline. So like that, why can't there be other IITs or other IIMs or other institutes known for a particular skill development? I think that will work. Yeah, if somebody thinks about, yeah, I need this skill, I want to excel in this skill, or want to pursue my career in this obtaining this skill, I will think about this group of institutes. Why can't it be? Similarly, similar such even the specific focused schools also, skilling schools also can be developed. But for that, yes, government or other funding agencies, be it private funding or whatsoever, should solidly back this idea. Yes, we can do it. Why not? Why not? Then other things is comes to my mind at this point of time is Inaji. I hope I have time, 2-3 minutes more.
Yes.
Right, right. So another idea I would like to float here is project-based education. This project-based education, this is nothing new in a sense. Professor uh, uh, Raja Kumar would agree with me. In IITs, we have a couple of projects in almost every course instructor, even if it is not there in the curriculum mentioned specifically. Instructors, they do love to give project. Okay, you do this. Let it be mini project. Let it be micro project. But they give these projects, these sorts of projects, as part of their continuous evaluation. I think Professor Raja Kumar would be agreeing with me,
Yes.
right? Okay, so these kind of things. So project is nothing new to us. Even all other engineering curriculum, project is an integral part of this. Now the same thing. It need not be an engineering project. It need not be backed by finite element simulation. It need not be backed by artificial intelligence coding kind of things. Why should it be? It can be a small project. Let the student come up with a small, making something, making this one. Okay, let it be a part of his project. He will get enthused. He will be enthused to produce something later on, because he knows now. He did it in his second year of his graduation. He did it in his third year of graduation. Let him start some project in first year, second year, then fourth year he will be daring to create his big project, because he is full of confidence now, and now he is skilled also, he is capable also. And although we have apart from all these, we have very excellent backup, or excellent support, back end support, as the institutional support, our faculty support, and a lab or whatsoever we have. So
Sure.
this is another thing, project based education should be encouraged in every institution. I'm not talking about only IITs. In
Sure.
every institution, this can be done. And for this, let me assure you, we don't need much resources in terms of crores of rupees or lakhs of rupees. Okay,
Well, you're
so these are
absolutely right.
Yeah, some of the thoughts probably, if I get some more time later on, probably
Sure,
I
sure.
have
We'll
some
come back
more,
to you. We'll
yeah,
come back to you, sir.
some more points I would
Thank
like
you
to
very
say.
much, and absolutely agree with you. In fact, some of the institutions that I have come across my 30 plus years of career, I've been talking to them and I've been telling them that look, you don't need to go out. If it's you're a civil engineering student, look at your city itself. Can the crossroads be converted into roundabouts? Can we save life, on the roads? So Vision Zero
Exactly.
Haryana was one of the projects that we started, and it was done by students itself. So there are so many opportunities around. So let me move on to you now on this note, Dr. D.N. Rao. Um, Talk about your take on Atmanirbhar Bharat and the role institutions such as yours, elite institutions that are quality institutions, can play in this kind of a scenario. Over to you, Dr. Rao.
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to everybody. Vignana Jyothi is a society for not-for-profit society catering to education from nursery to doctoral programs in artificial intelligence. So that's the spectrum of work that we do. And for me personally, this word Atmanirbhar is a wonderful word. And you can guess from my gray hair that I have a lot of experience in the domain of both industry as well as education. My familiarity with the Atmanirbhar goes almost 50 years ago when I was 23 years old. I'm a Shishya of Dr. A.S. Rao, the former managing director of ECIL, Electronics Corporation of India, which was the leader. Everybody laughed what India can do with self-reliance. ECIL, Electronics Corporation of India, said, we will do it as a self-reliant, and they proved it. Since then, of course, it has grown. I think they produced the first computer in India, computer services, everything, I think. So Atmanirbhar is a very, very strong word, and we have to believe in it. For a long time in my own career and in the country's career, all of us, through 1990s, 2000s, we were looking at the year 2020. Everybody used to talk about Vision 2020. And what happened in the year 2020? We had the unfortunate pandemic. But for the preparations that we have done through the years, this pandemic would have been much more terrible. The preparations, the progress that we have made during the 90s and 20s, that gave us a lot of cushion, a lot of help in controlling the pandemic. Now coming back to what is it we are looking next? At Vignana Jyothi, 2020 is past, and now we hinge our planning, our every action of ours on Vision 2030, generated by our Honorable Prime Minister and declared in the year 2019 with the 10 dimensions. It's a wonderful, wonderful plan. This 10 dimensions plan can change the nation much faster than any other previous 5-year plans or some other thing. It addresses from lakes to rivers to forests to skies to space, and societal impact, economic impact, everything. It's a wonderful plan. And so we do not use calendars these days, but we post these 10 dimensions in on our walls. That is the first thing I want to share. I think it's a very powerful document. All over whatever we want to do, whether it matches with that 10 dimensions. And coming to immediate, what's happening now, post-COVID, or even continuing COVID, is we are assessing the impact of online education and global challenges. Online education has become common, so everybody's asking, so will the students come back? Fortunately, I live in Hyderabad, where I heard recently that TCS is calling back all its employees next week or soon. So I guess the online education is a temporary one. Maybe, I think probably it could take a little bit of space, but it cannot substitute the insight on in the college education. And the second, in continuation with this one, are the global offerings. It's very surprising that people are asking, okay, in the next few years, I'll get a degree from Harvard, from Stanford, sitting in India. So what is the infrastructure that we are supposed to do? How much it is? So I keep telling our people, look, don't worry about it. If global offerings are coming to India, Vignana Jyothi will give the offerings to global people. We will match them. Okay, that's our spirit. And also, as a technology institution of the VNR Vignana Jyothi, the most important thing for us is the observation that the merger of domains in technology is the biggest impact. The future technologies and education will merge physical, digital, and biological worlds. I will repeat, physical, digital, and biological worlds in ways that are fundamentally alter the ways we work, live, and relate to one another. The breadth, depth, and speed of this revolution will have significant impact. This paragraph of merger of domains, we believe 100%. And we are preparing ourselves to have this change. And the next one that is happening at this one is, now people call it as the Industry 4 technologies, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data sciences, Internet of Things. But at Vignana Jyothi, we have a special term for it called mezzanine technologies. This is like you keep your tools, you are learning everything on a mezzanine floor, and everybody that's crossing by or requires it picks it up and uses it. That's how we call them as mezzanine technologies. And with the important thing that is happening with these mezzanine technologies, they are useful everywhere. If you are designing a toy, you require a nice, intelligent a toy will interest every kid. Okay, so technologies are everywhere. And what is happening, especially in Hyderabad, in JNTU, at our institution recently, is the introduction of this minor and major degrees. A mechanical engineer can take a minor in artificial intelligence and he can create a robotic surgical equipment. Okay. That's another thing that we are looking at. So with all this background, how to cope up with it, we have coined a word called E-SMAC. E, SMAC, S-M-A-C-K. It's a real smack. I think most of us, the country requires a smack to wake up and get up and run. So this one, E, stands for exponential growth. 10 dimensions is an example. So we have identified areas where this exponential growth is happening. And another E for eminence. And unless an education institution proves itself eminent, I think it's very difficult for survival. I think this is the theme that we are following. Hopefully, this is percolated across all the faculty members and all the students. Now, the nice scene in Vignana Jyothi is you smack yourself here and wake up every day morning saying that you must change. Okay. With that, I thank you very much for this opportunity.
Interesting. Thank you very much, Dr. Rao. And mezzanine technologies was something which was unique. So on that note and looking at the roles that private institutions can play, let me move on to you, Dr. Abhay Kumar, who's the VC of Pratap University, in case you can share your thoughts. 5 minutes, please. Because otherwise
Right.
we miss out the rest.
No, I wouldn't like to transgress on the time given to other distinguished panelists. Thank you, Mr. Shrikant. My sincere thanks to Telangana State Higher Education Department as well as India Global Media Network for the wonderful session here today. In fact, the topic being academia's role in making Atmanirbhar Bharat and Skill India. Now, let me ask a question. When has there not been the role of the academia in making any culture, society, or a country self-reliant since the ancient times? Whether it was Chanakya or Kautilya or any other individual we can talk about. Self-reliance or skill sets were imparted by these people. It was the academia who were foremost, whether it was politics, whether it was culture, whether it was anything else. It was only during the British Raj that we somehow compromised with the education structure of the country. Anyhow, with the new education policy and what the Honorable Prime Minister, Mr. Modi, has given us, the concept of Atmanirbhar Bharat, I think we would again trade on the same path which we had already been given say signpost of. Now, we actually, when we talk about Pratap Group, for instance, I'll tell you that it is a 25-year-old group having higher educational institutions in Kanpur, Lucknow, New Delhi, with K-12 schools also. So this university was established in 2011 and it is only 10 years young as compared to the group. Now, when we talk about private institutions, I think we all know that the COVID-19 has left an indelible mark on the lives of everyone across the globe, disrupting workplaces, schools, travel, health, well-being of everyone. You know, the educational institutions with the faculty members and the staff came back and did justice to the best of their level they could. In fact, I have always termed our educators as Corona warriors. Of course, the security forces, the say health workers, they are Corona warriors. But of course, our teachers, our institutions, they have also proved themselves to be. Well, government institutions, I wouldn't talk about because there is no lack of funds to you. I would think I would know that the Honorable Director IIT and everybody else who's there would corroborate my statement. With private institutions, when the COVID-19 pandemic struck, and we had to go online, I think I won't simply talk about the Pratap Group itself because we had things in place to quite an extent, but there were many institutions who didn't have even an ERP or an LMS with them at that point of time. So what happened? The crunch, the financial crunch was the major factor for private institutions to go online. What they did was send mailers, many of them. I would talk to people, chatbots, WhatsApp groups and whatnot. That was the major initiative. But of course, now everyone has an LMS or an ERP over cloud. So what happened at Pratap Group, for instance, was, I'll tell you, we were fortunate enough to have these things in place. We updated and upgraded them. The only fact in which we also faltered initially was that even the best of the professors were probably not well equipped to teach online. Right. The lesson plans, the course structure, the pedagogy, these were so different online, and my senior professors were so used to teaching in a classroom face-to-face to the student that the new technocrats as faculty members had to help them to get abreast to the situation. Of course, after these 1.5 years, I think we have done a lot. Initially, during last year, during the COVID-19 also, we strictly followed our academic calendar. And we had our exams on time. The international students who are more than about 200 plus in number with us, they also went back to the country on time. So that was a feat which the examination cell of the university had achieved. Of course, evaluation was one factor in which we had to pay a lot of attention, how to evaluate the say online sheets and how to go ahead and do the evaluation part. Of course, these things were done. People spent the midnight oil.
Right.
Yes, sir. So I think these things happened. Maybe I'll pass on the baton to you. I think Mr. Shrikant wants me to close now.
Thank you very much. Moving on to you, Dr. Raman Kumar from Amity University. If you could share your thoughts.
Thank you very much, Mr. Shrikant, CEO of the task I'm glad to know that Telangana State Higher Education Department and the India Global Media Network has been working and taking this summit and then trying to collate the information which is so badly required for the country as of now. If I have to sum up, I would say take the vision and mission of our founder president, Dr. Ashok K. Chauhan, who has coined this word COVID as creating opportunities via innovative determination. So it is the COVID, which was a dangerous word, or the pandemic, which has really threatened all of us, has also inbuilt opportunities as well, and that is only possible when you are innovative and determined. So that sums up the whole philosophy of Amity University. Now, once one is innovative and determined, the Atmanirbhar, which is the self-reliance, automatically would come in. Now, one therefore has to simply focus on the key areas, like three stakeholders: the students, the faculty, and the society. And then the fourth, you can take that as industry. Otherwise, society is covered in the industry itself. So, if we take care of the students' need in the manner that they require, so I did a little bit of research and reduced that there are just 12 areas where the student can take their life. 1 out of 12 is enough. Unfortunately, our education system has not demarcated who is fit for what area. So I did a little bit of research on this and came up with an idea that we can have a career related laboratory where we test an individual who fits into what particular area, and then he commits his life for that area where he would automatically excel because of his skills, because of his passion, because of his personality, because of his own bend and things like that. And that can be tested in the laboratory. Now, this is not done, still testing is not done, but the model is ready. Now, this is one which is lacking. Now, once you do this, everyone who will focus on his own passionate area will automatically become Atmanirbhar, because he is then getting the job or the career opportunities or looking at opportunities in his own focus area. This is very important. Second is, not everybody is educated, even though we understand the demographic dividend that we have, the young population and things like that. Not everyone is still educated. I would suggest if the Telangana government can take up, or maybe the whole country can take up, a simple concept of capacity building homes. Now, what is this? I came up with a new concept wherein we attach all the aspects. For example, there has to be an education. So even if one is not educated and he's 15 years plus and searching for a job, let him come to that capacity building home and then get trained for 3 months, 6 months, and he becomes employable in a particular skill, whatever is his area. So every district can possibly create or co-create together with the university help also, with the industry help also, a capacity building home wherein they come without even paying anything. 6 months of time, he becomes employable, he becomes the earning member for his family. This is a possibility. So this can be a model. Otherwise, one can really divide individual students based on his skill, based on his ideas, based on the different tests that we are otherwise conducting in a university, that he chooses one particular focus areas. And I have divided that 12,000 career options only into 12 trees. Those are called career trees. So if we can get onto those career trees and stick to that, you still have 1,000 jobs available. Focus and the attention towards himself and towards that area, and the university provides all the skills, all the related domain expertise whichever is required. So these two ideas can be coined and maybe worked up with the government, instead of talking about different data that we all are aware of, And then, of course, we need to integrate all our efforts through technology, like the way we are doing now. Everybody, the student as well as the faculty, have to be upgraded as far as the technology is concerned, and that upgradation, that upskilling is a must. So if you combine all these three areas, I think we are on way to our Atmanirbhar Bharat. And I salute the Prime Minister who came up with this particular concept. Even though old, this is the only way to become self-reliant as a country and contribute to the world growth. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thank you very much. In fact, it's interesting that you mentioned both these things, and of course, all the gentlemen mentioned things over there. I think if we look at task itself, so we are running presently a program for pharma industry where we are getting people who, as you know, Telangana is going to come up with the biggest pharma city in the world itself, right? And today, 1/3 of the vaccines are developed in Telangana itself. So what we are trying to do is take the people who have given up their lands for that pharma city. Every family, we are identifying one person, seeing their skills and helping them so that they can become employable into the pharma industry. And these could be 5th class dropout, 7th class, or what have you, right? And the second is very important, once a aircraft engine manufacturer set up their office here in Telangana, we actually worked with them and identified people based on the skills that they would require. So it was not a paper and pen test that was given to them, but they were asked to fasten and unfasten nut and bolts. They were given 3D objects which they were supposed to keep at certain places. And that's how we got diploma students, not aeronautical engineering students. Let me reiterate that. Diploma students from electrical and mechanical who would have become electricians or mechanics in their districts actually join the aerospace industry and work with them. So absolutely right. So on that note, we don't have too much time, so probably request everyone to give their thoughts in 2 minutes each. But let me move again to Professor Rajakumar first. On today, we need to create India, and we are talking about, yes, 11.27 crore jobs with MSME, 1.25 with large industries, right? But if we continue to create a nation of job seekers, it will be a challenge for us. So what is the role that institutions such as IIT-Bhubaneswar is creating, is having for creating entrepreneurs? Because one thing which I would like to, in fact, I would like to urge all the academicians present on this panel today, don't you think it's time enough that we should start talking about number of entrepreneurs, also apart from number of placements that you take as a statistics of your institution's recognition? Over to you, Professor Rajakumar.
Yes, I agree with your statement. We should talk about, in terms of number of entrepreneurs we have created as a performance measure. IIT-Bhubaneswar has a technology incubator, has a startup center, and also a research and entrepreneurship park, a Section 8 company, meant for supporting the job creators, to create job creators rather than the job seekers. With all facilities in place and policies in place, all said and done, what is needed is an inspired mind. An inspired mind is needed. Somebody who takes the challenges of creating an industry, ready to face all the risks involved, is what we need. We need to catch the youngsters even at school level itself. We should make them adventurous. We should make them as individuals who can take risks. That is what is basically needed. But right now, what is happening is the other way around. We push our youngsters, admit them into coaching institutions meant for providing coaching for JEE mains, advanced, or MSET in Telangana, Telangana, and other state entrances. This examination-centric preparation right from school level is killing the entrepreneurial skills amongst our youngsters. Number one. After they join the higher educational institutions, for let's talk about technical education now. There too, the culture is examination-centric culture, and a student starts with preparations and then guessing about what kind of questions would come in the examination, how to get a grade. Certainly, the skilling, first of all, empowering oneself with the right knowledge in a domain of branch of engineering, then skills to do the design skills, analytical skills, and then creative skills where one can create a product or create a solution for a problem. Engineering is meant for that, actually. These things are taking backseat because of the
Excellent.
examination centric culture. We need to set these things right, and this is fundamentally very important for the educational institutions to contribute for Atmanirbhar Bharat. Certainly, technical institutions are the institutions uh, which should play a major role in the creation of Atmanirbhar Bharat. We should deviate from the examination culture, and it should be knowledge centric and skill centric. And skill here, I mean the design skills, analytical skills, and other critical thinking skills, including creating solutions for engineering problems or even beyond. So that is absolutely essential.
Wonderful. Thank you. Moving on to you, Professor Sharma, you mentioned about institutions and having institutions having their own competencies. But don't you think that today India has not been successful in the nanotechnologies, right? Because we don't have institutions where different kind of things. Because as Professor Dr. Rao also mentioned, moving ahead, you have the digital, physical, and biological world combining together. So, should institutions, and especially like yours, which are creating entrepreneurs also for the future, look at things differently now? Because today, if you look at it, there's only one program which is mechatronics, right? Don't you think we need more programs such as these to enhance more entrepreneurship? Over to you, Dr. Sharma. I think Dr. Sharma has dropped off. Okay, we'll try to get him later on onto that thing. But let me throw the same question open to you, Dr. Rao. 2 minutes of your time on this, because you have already spoken about the physical, digital, and biological. So don't you think that for creating better entrepreneurs who can contribute more towards the society, we need different programs itself? Like mechatronics is just an example of one of those.
To address this one at Vignana Jyothi, we coined a word called vertical literacy. At the moment, I think we are doing everything horizontally, teaching them, etc. Teaching learning has become a lot of focus. At Vignana Jyothi, we have a program what is known as a spectral pyramid. Like pyramid has four faces. We look at the education as four phases. One is teaching learning. That is the best. Nobody can deny it. Ultimately, academics is the best thing. The next one is acceleration of research. We should expose them to research. Third one is the entrepreneurship. If he doesn't become an entrepreneurship, he will join a company and become an intrapreneurship, which is as good as an entrepreneurship.
Yes.
And the third and the fourth phase that we strongly believe at Vignana Jyothi is a phase of a rounded personality where you don't feel shy of talking about happiness, care, compassion, love. All these things have disappeared off late from the education institutions. At Vignana Jyothi, we make a specific emphasis, both faculty and the students. Are you happy? Happy doesn't mean bunking the classes and going to a movie. There are parameters for that. So these four phases are one thing. The second and the most important thing that we are doing at Vignana Jyothi is the vertical literacy. Along with the horizontal program, especially this present major and minor degree in the same 4 years, will do wonderful things. A mechanical engineering engineer going vertically in an artificial intelligence domain and creating a product during the third year of his career is what we are looking at. I think that would give the excitement, develop entrepreneurs, skills, and employability. That's my best guess.
Absolutely. Thank you, Dr. Rao. I believe,
I think, sorry, I missed that because of some connectivity. I think.
Professor Sharma, since you are back, just before I pass the thing to you, yes, as an executive council member of JNTU, when we were looking at the major and the specialization, that was exactly our thought process, where a civil engineer could actually do big data as a minor subject itself, so that he can apply technology in that. So excellent thing. Over to you, Professor Sharma. Looking at how courses like mechatronics actually made a huge difference to the industry, and don't you think it's time that given the entrepreneurship and Atmanirbhar, we should also look at combining certain courses like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Correct, Sinhaji. Yeah, I do agree. We cannot afford to leave apart these technologies like nanotechnology or artificial intelligence or mechatronics, etc. But it is at the same time, it is also true that it is not absolute necessary that we only by knowing nanotechnology only we can do something in nanotechnology. Yeah, why I am telling is just allow me to give an example. My own student, he was a production and industrial engineer. He is BTech in production and industrial engineering. At that time, he did not have much exposure to nanotechnology. He was a trained industrial engineer, but he developed or he started one startup, one firm that works on nanotechnology. And today he is an established entrepreneur. He I think last year he got the best entrepreneur budding entrepreneur award from government of India, and his products are like using nanotechnology. So that's my point is like it is not absolute necessity that one has to be trained in that, but at the same time, yes, we should have, and only important thing is we should have social connect. That is what is very important, and that will give the avenues or that will expose our students to the real life problems that will excite them to solve the problems of the society, and that will automatically, knowingly or unknowingly, will put some seeds in them to become
Sure,
some entrepreneur.
sure.
Okay, thank
Thanks,
you,
Dr.
thank you.
Sharma. Dr. Abhay, since you have to rush off, could I know your thoughts about private institutions and entrepreneurship, please?
Yeah, Mr. Shrikant, I'll give you one or two examples. Initially, when our entrepreneurship development cell thought of promoting entrepreneurs, the first thing which I very much liked about what you said was developing the entrepreneurial mindset. The mindset has to be developed. Secondly, what Professor Raja had said, we must create that mindset right from the school. You just cannot say have a magic wand when a student comes to the higher education institution to change the mindset immediately. So of course, what we have been doing recently is during the COVID, we have added 3 startups, and that was a wonderful thing for the university to have. You know what happened was we included the parents along with the students when talking about what sort of passion they had and where they would go, because the parents are also at risk when they think that their children would not go in for a secure job instead of going in for an entrepreneurship which is say coupled with risks and other things. So when we brought in the parents and we convinced them, it did a magic. Say a batch of 60, if we only had 1 or 2 students who are thinking about entrepreneurship, we now have at least 10% who are talking about that. Second, we have brought in the alumni into our trust folder. what we have done is most of the alumni, 10,000 strong alumni of the group existing in, say, India as well as abroad, they have helped us a lot. They have come back to the university both virtually as well as physically, and they have convinced and given the say students, they checked out their capability levels, their skill sets, and they have, as Professor Jha was telling, we have to find out what is the skill set they possess, which part of the tree they are of. So this is what exactly was I have been doing in the past. Of course, for this the mentors have to work harder, and they are doing it. Thank you so much.
Excellent, excellent. Thank you. Dr. Jha, moving on to you now. Amity has both. They are setting up a skills university and they have this university also. So don't you think that by setting up a skills university, right, the same number of students will be competing between Amity and the Amity Skills University? Wouldn't it have been better in case if you integrate skills into the curriculum itself? In fact, that is what the NEP also professors. And how are you looking at with the skills university and the normal students? How would the work the combination work?
Yeah, I think that is the ultimate aim, that there has to be horizontal and vertical growth for every student. So that skill is still not taken up or highly rated in our society. There are
Correct.
only a limited number of students who really go in for a full-time skills job. So for them, a skill university would be better at this stage. And once everybody starts getting into that taste of the skill, I would say, if you want everybody to eat that fruit of entrepreneurship, then let him test it. So once he starts testing and realizing it, I think the skill will be part and parcel of everything that you look at, including IT skills, or you take mechanical skills, computing skills, or even communication skills, even skills, and then mindfulness, heartfulness, whatever you think of, all those are nothing but skills. So,
Absolutely.
so if one is given this wholesome personality and this higher education model, in fact, that I wrote in my book, where there is an integrated model of higher education that I have put my thoughts for last 2-3 years, and that speaks about this particular wholesome personality that we need, but for survival. But for survival, there are needs. There are people who are less educated, more intelligent, less intelligent. So there are avenues for everybody. That's the beginning model. And then I think as we evolve, everybody would appreciate that it is knowledge and the skills and your dedication, your commitment, everything is required for really making not only his life successful, but really become a contributing person in the arena. So that's what the world is moving to.
Thank you very much. I think if I want to summarize this entire discussion, this fantastic, I don't think I'll be able to do justice to it in a very short time. But still, let me try. Of course, we spoke about the institutional culture, which is most important, and how we have examples of how the institutional culture has actually moved ahead. A very interesting term that has been mentioned over here, participant. I think students, teachers have been the common terminology, but it's important if we need to become Atmanirbhar, everyone needs to become a participant in the whole process itself. Vertical and horizontal movement and integration is most important. Again, that is something which is being spoken about by all my panelists. And I think there are enough opportunities for people, especially in case if they want to help the society feel the impact of their education, their training, etc., and skilling. I think there are a huge number of opportunities that also got discussed. And today, of course, all institutions are trying to create people not as entrepreneurs only, but also entrepreneurs. So even if they start working, if they have an entrepreneurial mindset, they could tomorrow as well as become entrepreneurs also. On that note, I would like to thank all the panelists, Professor R.V. Rajakumar, the director of IIT-Bhubaneswar, Professor Sharma from IIT Roorkee, Professor Abhay Kumar, Vice Chancellor, Pratap University, Professor Raman Kumar Jha, Vice Chancellor, Amity University, Dr. D.N. Rao, President, Vignana Jyothi, a group of institutions, as well as also to the India Global Media, who have very thoughtfully created this kind of an event where education skilling is being spoken about for 2 days, and that too right from K-12 to higher education also included. So kudos to Amrita, you and Sudhir and the entire team at the India Global Media Network. On that note, I'm signing off. Thank you.
So,
Thank
sir,
you.
it has been a privilege to hear to you all, and it has been a very interesting session. We have a small token of appreciation for you all, and I would request for the certificate to be displayed here. The certificate for Dr. D.N. Rao, please. Certificate for Professor R.V. Rajakumar. Certificate for Professor Dr. Raman Kumar Jha. Certificate for Professor Apurva Kumar Sharma. Shrikant Sinha sir has been a very good moderator here, along with such esteemed speakers. And also certificate for Professor Dr. Abhay Kumar. Thank you, everyone. It was a pleasure to hear you all.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
After a
Thank
long
you.
time, I got a certificate. Thank you.
Hello.